A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified T-Cole credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. Hey, Sam, how you doing? We are powered by I almost forgot. We are powered by the OBBM network, and I want to thank those guys for really pushing this platform because the importance of it is making a big difference around the world. You know, we've been fighting a lot of issues lately. We're trying to get this word out. So if you're on us right now and you're watching us, please hit the share button. Please hit the like button. Share it with all your friends because the message that we have to get out is so important to our first responders and our first responders' families. Sam, you know too well, when we came back from Chicago, right after doing our workshop, Chicago was hit with two suicides, and one just very recently, and that's within 10 days of each other. You know, the holiday season's upon us. That brings a lot of first responders into a mental state that sometimes they can't reverse from, they can't get out of. So and then you want to talk about what happened just this past couple days. I'll let you run with it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the 1-2 punch. You know, you and I are talking to the captain out in Chicago, offering our condolences, and the following morning we find out that a Garland police officer, Chris Carker, who had battled cancer for a long time, but lost his battle with his demons early Saturday morning. And so today's show goes out to the Carker family and is in memory of Chris Carker. And John, we talk about this all the time, but I personally, and I know you would too, and the whole team at A Badge of Honor, Chris's family and all of the officers, thank you, Chief, for declaring his duty, his death line of duty and work related, so that he is buried with the honors that he deserves, serving the Garland community for 18 years. The chief is one of very few, 5% of departments around the country will give an officer who completed suicide full honor. So thank you, Chief, for doing that. And all of our partners that we work with are out at the department. They're offering help. If you're watching this and you know that you want to talk to somebody, just log on to our website, abadgeofhonor.com, and click on any one of the resources. If you were part of the Garland Police Department, you're a spouse of, you're watching this, there is help for you at the department this entire week. So please take advantage of it because you deserve it.
Sam, you brought up the 5%. There's 5% that will consider a line of duty death, right? And those are probably the 5% of the departments across the country that are actually playing an active role in the mental health wellness of their officers. I want to thank Mike Barron of the Blues Magazine, the online subscription, who let us post every month on mental health. And this month I posted about tactical wellness, and our commanders and our chiefs will watch us go out the door, right? And they'll make sure that we have our vest on, our body cameras on, our guns, our tasers. They'll make sure all our safety equipment is in line but they won't make sure that our mental health. They don't ask how you doing today. They don't worry about the mental health of the officer, just that he's carrying everything by protocol. And that's where we see the problem. And, our guest tonight has been fighting this for a long, long time. She has been providing the tactical tools needed for mental health awareness pre, during, and post throughout her entire career. She's been doing an amazing job. So without further ado, you want to give her a good, warm welcome?
Tempa Sherrill, she's been a guest of ours before, and it's because her knowledge base is so deep and so vast. She brings a lot of knowledge and a lot of healing to the table. So Tempa, welcome to a Badge of Honor podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you all again. And
please let the everybody listening and watching know a little bit about you and why you do what you do. Your practice is called The Brave Fight, and you got there. It's been a long journey. It's what we're all doing, right? It's what we're asking our officers, our first responders to do.
Yes.
Stay in the fight, be brave. So
fight. Yes. So a little bit of background for those who may not know. I'm the spouse of a retired police officer and Marine Corps and Army veteran. He was deployed in 2008, 2009 to Afghanistan, doing some special operations things over there. And it was a very active deployment. When he went over, he had 18 years of police work under his belt.
Wow.
And he went as a reservist. So that means he came home, he had 2 weeks off, and he was right back on patrol. And it took a while for him to step forward and get some help. He wasn't aware of what was really going on with him. And he was basically becoming chronic with his PTSD. People don't really understand that there are some normal stress reactions that people experience after a trauma. But if it goes unaddressed and you don't have the appropriate protective factors in place to process all of that, then it becomes chronic. And that's when a lot of these things start happening, as you guys well know, because you teach classes on this, that we begin having behaviors and things happen in our lives that we don't really understand why. And so that was something our family experienced. And so my husband got help, but long story short, that whole journey of trying to find culturally competent counselors who really understood military and first responder, especially law enforcement experiences, and how that impacts the whole family, and how the PTSD became so complex over time. It was just these layers and layers, on top of one another. And we didn't know what to do. Like, people aren't equipped with an instruction book on what steps to take to find solutions for some of these things. And it creeps into the cracks, and the holes of the family and your relationships. It impacts your work sometimes. But my husband was getting help. He had been getting counseling for over 3 years when his command found out that he had a PTSD diagnosis, and he was terminated because of a PTSD diagnosis. There were no incidents. He had nothing in his file, no incidents at work.
Just because of a diagnosis?
Yes, just because of a diagnosis. And they found out because he went to them. He was starting to feel a little bit unsafe. He was getting triggered at work. Some things were coming up for him, and safety is always number one. So he went to his command to ask for a temporary change of duty until he got his stuff straight and kind of did some more intensive work on himself. They did a fit for duty on him, and when they saw the diagnosis, they, the day after he turned that paperwork in, they terminated him. And so that was a big, huge turning point. If the trauma itself that he experienced over those years and in his deployment, if that wasn't enough, this loss of identity and betrayal,
Yep.
from the people he trusted, sent him over the edge for a while. And we came really close to losing him. He had all of the ingredients of, a perfect storm, if you will, for suicide. And we had a couple of close calls. And I'm grateful to this day that, that didn't happen, but I can understand how close he came, especially now as a clinician. And so our journey is why I got into this work. And I vowed from then on that I was going to fight for our blue families, red, green, all across the board, that I was going to fight for them and learn how to help them. So I went back to school, became a counselor, and 10 years later, here I am.
Yeah, but Tempa, me and Sam bring this up in our workshops a lot. And, thank God you are who you are, and you have some knowledge behind what post-traumatic stress is, because that's why, it's so important for the families to learn and jump on board and find out, because, that perfect storm, you probably pulled him out of a lot of that weather just by the way you communicated. Because communication between spouses can really throw somebody in a worse loop if they don't understand what you're actually going through.
Right.
So, I commend you on probably, changing the weather a little bit on that journey and having it come out the other end the way it did. Families are very important in this journey.
They definitely are. And thank you for saying that, because the family members fight this battle, this brave battle in the background that is rarely recognized. And that support is so important. And learning how to provide support is so important too. And so if there are families out there listening right now and you don't know what to do, take a mental health first aid class, take whatever kind of class. There's tons of them out there. You guys offer classes.
Mm-hmm.
Any level of understanding of just how to communicate and be present and be supportive. You can save someone's life by doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. We are talking with Tempa Sherrill from The Brave Fight. We got to take our first break. We will be right back.
What is the role of American government anyway? Is the role of government to decide where I can go and where I can't? Is the role of government to work tirelessly to destroy vital infrastructure that keeps goods and services from my customers? Is the role of government to choose who can drive, fly, or ride according to mandated stipulations that threaten my body, health, mind, and conscience? Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice too. Your voice, your feet, your vote, not just at the ballot box, but training to be a poll watcher, precinct chair, judge, or early ballot counter, so you're doing all you can to protect the fairly counted American vote. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America, because my voice
and my voice,
together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
We're back with a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and our guest Tempa Sherrill with a Brave Fight Foundation or services.
The Brave Fight.
Just the Brave Fight.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Cut and dry. The Brave Fight.
I wanted to ask a question because when we left, we were talking about your husband's journey, and I believe the term is moral injury in the abandonment that he received from his own command, from his police department. I'm reading a book right now called Cop Shop. We're going to have the author on next year on the podcast and to talk about the stories. And he interviewed, numerous police officers for this book, and story after story, I'm reading about how the department did to them exactly what you just said that your husband's department did to him. Now, here we are all these years later where we've got a whether it's a mental health liaison in departments or whether it's departments that are putting on smoke and mirrors, whatever it is, there's been light that has been shed on the mental wellness if you're a police officer or first responder, okay? With the curtain being pulled back, if you will, that injury, that moral injury, that abandonment is still going on.
Yes.
And how do you reconcile knowing that you guys went through it? An officer who reaches out to you for assistance that says, they stripped me of my identity, my department, the guys that I would back up in a second.
Yeah.
But when it came to me needing backup, they left me.
Yes. So your question is, how do you help someone with that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I just want to make sure. It's something that unless the person understands that piece, and thank you for mentioning the moral injury. It's also grief. So unresolved grief and moral injury kind of working together. And that's not a diagnosis. That is a human struggle. That's a struggle that it impacts you down to the soul. And so unless the person that you're working with in therapy or peer support, whatever level of help that you're getting, hopefully you're just getting some, regardless of what level it is. It's important that we all become educated in those and how they interplay with trauma, because it goes hand in hand. And that loss of identity, you have to grieve it, but it does leave a bruise on the soul that you have to process it and find forgiveness and learn to let go and move forward and engage in all of that, those resilience building things that help you.
When you look at 18
Yeah,
years.
I know where I can see John. I know what his reaction is going to be here. It's not a response, it's a reaction. Go ahead, John.
When you said, you got to just let it go. I, for one, I'm very bad with letting things go. It's so hard for me. I let things live in my brain, and I shouldn't. And I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. But 18 years on the job to be unfit for duty after that. Once you lose your identity, that is so hard to let go. That scar is deep. That's not, and when we talked about the 5% of law enforcement making suicides along the duty, I'm sure your husband was not part of that 5% command, because they do not take, and this is what scares the million officers across the country, that if they go get help, if they go get therapy, if they show any signs of post-traumatic stress, they're going to get that unfit for duty. They're going to get their gun removed, which in some cases, okay. Don't take the badge away from me. Let me go get mental health treatment, and then put me back once I'm healthy again.
Yes. People can heal from post-traumatic stress. And if they're given the opportunity, and you're right, there are some cases where maybe we need some help learning, is my cup full? Have I reached my capacity of my life for trauma? That is a thing, we have to find out, and we have to get help in order to sort all that out and figure out, do I still have some fight left in me? Am I done yet? Maybe I need to heal and get back out there, and I'm going to be able to contribute. But wherever you are on the spectrum, you're not going to know unless someone gives you the chance to find the healing and sort out what your next steps are. No, letting go is not easy at all. It is a deep wound, and you don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I wanted to ask, I'm putting the website up right now. With your practice and the way it's set up, if you go to thebravefight.com, you'll get to read about Tempa. You'll get to read about really the mission and the philosophy behind your practice. First, I'll ask, how many docs do you have with you?
yes, there are 6 of us currently,
Okay.
and growing. And we have a mixture of providers. Our goal is to approach occupational trauma in a very broad sense. That's our specialty, and that could include first responders, veterans, medical, any profession. And I don't want to leave out telecommunications either, and that's included in first responders, but I want to say that out loud because they get left out so often. But any profession that their work brings that trauma exposure into their lives, and they're living out and doing what they dream of, and they're living out their passion, but it also has this huge impact on their lives. That's our specialty, but we don't turn anyone away who's experienced trauma in general, or a traumatic grief, or any kind of grief. So the trauma and grief component are unique to our practice because we believe, and research shows also, that trauma and grief go hand in hand. So that's something to think about us.
You bring that up.
Now,
And-
what were
Okay, I'm sorry, Sam. I just want to say, with the trauma and the grief, you bring that up, and we see it so many times. Is if an officer is shot in the line of duty and he is killed, right? His friends the next day have to report to work, go back to shift. They don't get that time to mourn. They don't get that. They got right back into the circle of doing their job.
Yes. Yeah, they're thrown right back in. Exactly. And so we experience loss of life. We experience, and I say we as in this culture, our community, right? Loss of life and loss of time with your kids, time with your family, loss of relationships. It's hard on relationships, right? We have loss of career. There's so many different types of ambiguous loss that people experience in humankind, not much less these professions that we're talking about today.
And whether we're talking about police officer murdered, shot and killed, or what we're experiencing and going through now here locally with the suicide of an officer who's been with the department for a long time, it's the same thing. Officers are like, there's a job to do still. The community needs us, and it's. You highlighted the 911 telecommunicators, and we also just touched on family, because you coming also, Tempa, having the military in your background as well. I find it interesting. So we've got the military, and they have the wives have the spouses take care of each other. Okay. Mm-hmm. We also have that in the police departments. A lot of police departments have the spouses, they have a community and stuff. But when it comes down to line of duty deaths, whether that line of duty death is lost in a car accident, a gunfight, or suicide, the outpouring is to the department. And I think what lay people, if you're watching this, what the communities need to understand is the entire family serves. Just like in the military, it's a police family. So the family members are feeling the loss. They're feeling the stress from their loved one who is an officer because they're bringing it home, but also the spouses are kind of in that, hey, I knew this officer too. I'm really upset. We need to rally around each other, and they do. The spouses must support each other as well in this, so that everybody can communicate better together.
Yes.
That's what I think. That's what I think is the big key, because it's just like Tempa. If you help an officer or a soldier, through EMDR, and you do that line of therapy, and they do this, but you never bring in the family member, they don't know what to look for. They don't know the triggers necessarily. They don't understand the therapy protocol. And to ask the first responder or the soldier or the veteran who's going through the therapy to explain it all, that's like, woo, overwhelm. That's a trigger right there. We've got to look at healing as a community endeavor. The kids are going to be affected. Hey, how do I talk to mom or dad because, Uncle Chris just died?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So how do you have the spouses come in or the families come in eventually?
Yes, that is, something that is, we collaborate with the client to layer in the people in their lives that need to be in the process. And all of that is uniquely designed per the individual. So it's an individualized approach because every family is a little different, right? And, we identify people as family that may not be our blood sometimes. And so whoever that is for you, and I love what you said about it's a community approach. That's exactly what the best practice is to bring every element of your family, of what you call family, together somewhere along the way in the process. And I believe that wellness is on a spectrum, and that could involve peer support. You don't have to have and I'm saying this for everyone to hear, you don't have to have a license to help someone, but you do need to be informed and aware and be healthy yourself. You need to get the help you need first before you want to help someone else, the whole oxygen mask thing. Right?
Yeah.
And be informed. Go out and learn, and then reach out your hand across and help somebody when you can. It takes our community working together, whether it be licensed, practitioners or peer supporters or family members supporting one another. All of that is necessary in order for us to move the needle with mental health.
Yeah, you said go out and learn, and that is key, because you've got to have that knowledge base. And we had the folks on from First and Wellness, and they have a portal where you can go on and learn and grab some freebies. And also, I would say don't be afraid to kind of like pick up the phone, right? So not necessarily rely on what your search engine, searching whatever the term is. You definitely want to go to somebody, solicit help from somebody who works in whatever your loved one is, a first responder or military, to get the full picture, if you will.
Absolutely. And I want to say, just kind of tie this back to the Brave Fight. We're a fairly new practice. We just launched this year. As you all know, I've been working in the nonprofit space for the last 10 years, more than one nonprofit, and some very dear colleagues, that I've worked with along the way. And I'm proud to say that, there are many people out here in the community fighting this fight together, collaborating. It's not a competition. We need everyone working together to solve this problem and to be a part of the solution. But a few things that we are offering at the Brave Fight: after the first of the year, we plan to launch some therapy groups, support groups, and some of those will be unique and special, as far as like we'll have some women's issues that are unique to women that they experience, spouses. We'll have some grief support groups and workshops. And we plan to do a lot of community education that doesn't cost anything, where people can, learn about tools, learn how to support their loved ones. Some of those type of things are really important, and we want to be a part of helping get that word out.
That's fantastic.
And I think those are all great tools. I think those, I guess pessimistic or whatever the word would be for this, but we want to bring it out to the community. We want to bring it out to our law enforcement officers. We want to bring it out to our veterans. We can bring all this community stuff together, but if they get stonewalled at their department, if they get stonewalled at their command, all of this work from all the nonprofits really goes nowhere for our men and women that are out there every day. Here's the problem. We'll see an officer commit suicide and everybody rallies around. Well, what happened to the red flags that everybody saw prior? Or where was the rally of support for mental health prior? We got to start looking at pre-therapy instead of the knee-jerk reaction we end up at the end, where, like Sam said, is this a smoke and mirrors thing, or is this the way your department really reacts? I love the community engagement. I love getting the word out, but man, we saw it in Chicago, and we heard it from those officers. They get stonewalled. Their EAP, an officer's battling a 2-month wait.
Yes.
That's unacceptable.
Yes.
That's unacceptable.
I agree. It's 100% unacceptable. And that is a political argument with multiple agencies. Every agency is a little different, right? And they're going to do things the way they're going to do it. Then you have the politics that come to play in there. What we can control is educating the officers and their families, firefighters and their families, and et cetera, all the first responder groups. We can't always control the political and the command piece of it. But when you have the people that we represent educated, informed, and working on wellness, upstream, not downstream, upstream wellness, and they are impacting their own culture that they work in, then the rest are kind of outnumbered.
Yeah, but they're fearful. They're fearful, like your husband.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go out there, you do the community service, you get the community right behind you, right? And as an officer says, you know what, I can really use some EMDR. I can really use this. And he comes to you, right? He's scared because if somebody finds out, maybe he's with a department that's going to red flag him.
Right.
How do we get over that hurdle? How do we get this to be the norm? You break your arm, you get it cast, you get it fixed, you're back at the gun range, you're all good. How do we get mental health over that hurdle to be the norm?
So, we're going to just say we got to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about getting over that hurdle and what we need to do when we come back. We'll be right back with Tempa Sherrill from the Brave Fight.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, we're back with the Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. We're talking with Tempa Sherrill with the Brave Fight. And we're talking about hurdles. We're talking about those barriers that some of our officers and our veterans seem to hit every time they ask for help. And how we can, maybe break past or just climb over them and make the mental health the norm, just like a regular injury in the line of duty. So, Temp, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, this kind of speaks to my other work I do with Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. That's a whole nother battle. Like there's the on the ground battle, and then there's the policy battle in our country. And I understand that we're not there yet, but I have to say that in the last 10 years, I've seen we're gaining traction.
Is it policy? Is it policy or is it culture?
It's both. It's both. But until we change policy, then nothing will actually change, because as you know, this work is, governmental work. It's controlled by the government, and no agency is going to implement anything if policy is not backing it. Sure. And so that's another battle that we have to continue. And then the culture piece is about going in and educating. And some of my coworkers in the policy work are working on that very thing across the nation, especially the state of Texas, and working with chiefs across the state, and really hitting it hard in terms of going in and educating the administrative positions in agencies. Not everyone's on board, but there are so many more on board now than we've ever had.
Well, yeah. Let's move forward.
That's good to hear. And within that, if you are a first responder and you're realizing that you've got those hurdles, that things aren't as progressive as they need to be, it's incumbent upon us, and what John and I and John and Jeff, the whole team at A Badge of Honor, it's getting the word out in terms of partnerships. Like, we have the Brave Fight on our website. It's helping the first responders to say, okay, so don't rely on your EAP, because we know it may be a person who doesn't understand what you do. Don't rely on saying anything to anybody in your department. Go outside your department, because it's your head, it's your brain, it's your mental health that matters. And if you want to have longevity in your career because you love your career, then take those steps to do it.
Yes, take the matter into your own hands. I 100% agree with that, because there are some departments that are very progressive out there. If you're not in one of those, please go outside in the community. That's why there are so many different organizations, nonprofits, practices. The Brave Fight's not a nonprofit, but we have lots of different tools in place. If someone doesn't want to use their insurance, they can do a sliding scale. There are ways around all the things, right, where we can make sure everybody who needs help is getting help. And so there are a lot of resources in the community where you can go off the grid, get the help you need, and be proactive. Take it into your own hands. Be your own best advocate. If there's a will, there's a way, and it's our choice. If we want to get help, help is out there.
You know, you just brought up the insurance aspect, and I hear this a lot from a lot of our first responders. Well, it's because I don't want to use my insurance. Well, there is a thing called patient-client privilege and
Yes.
HIPAA laws. You
That's
know,
right.
and I gotta let every officer that's listening right now, your department is not out there scanning your medical
Right.
your medical benefits, your medical issues. You have a better chance of getting audited by the IRS than being found out that you got post-traumatic stress, EMDR from a clinician or for some therapy. They won't find out through your insurance. So you can use your own insurance. Those are
Yeah.
private vendors. Your department's not privy to why you go to the doctor.
No, they are not.
It's a myth, and it's everybody says I don't want to use it. It's a myth. You cannot be found out, and it's like I said, it's HIPAA laws, and they don't want to violate that.
Right. And we, we become fearful, right? When you're afraid of losing your identity, your job, it's such a huge part of who you are, then we can kind of create a little bit of a story in our head of, if I do this, this is going to happen. But it doesn't. I think that things that have come out like that are very unique cases that we don't know all the details about. But across the board, the laws and the protections are in place, like you said,
Yeah.
our HIPAA and privacy laws. And I mean, we have to maintain complete confidentiality.
Yep.
I would have to be subpoenaed by a judge themselves before I could release any information about anyone.
Yeah, those stories in our head, that's what talks us out of taking the first step.
That's
to
right.
picking up the phone,
Yep.
whatever it is. And that's why I love the name of your practice, The Brave Fight. Because as John and I talk about it all the time is, our training prepares us to run into those burning buildings, to step in front of gunfire, to do the really tough stuff that not everybody's cut out to do. When it comes to being our own advocates, that's the most courageous thing. That's where we've got to get over the fear, and we've got to go do it. That the gift of unloading is right. Everybody that goes through it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like somebody just took a 2-ton boulder off my back or off my shoulders. It's the ability to unload in a safe space. And so, if you get anything out of listening tonight and to Tempa and her wise words is be your own advocate. Turn over that burden. Let them help you because they understand. They walk the walk.
Yes. And so many of, like in our practice, for example, and other people that I'm dear friends with who have practices in this DFW area, we have some rock solid people offering services to first responders and veterans. And it's the lived experience. We have retired police officers on our staff. We have family members, of different first responder backgrounds and veterans on our staff and family members. And so that matters. That lived experience, it creates this unique understanding so that when you walk in, you feel safe and you can unload.
Yeah,
That's the most important part of it, feeling safe.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. We're talking with Tempa Sherrill of The Brave Fight. You can check her out and everything that she's doing with her amazing partners at thebravefight.com. And we got to take our last break. We will be right back.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical Bill of Rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. We are our guest, Tempa Sherrill, with the Brave Fight. You know, talking about Move Freely America, move freely, first responders. Use your voice. Don't be afraid. Use your voice. Because as we use our voice, our community gets bigger. As we fight against the policies and procedures and the culture, our units get bigger. And that right there overtakes, and we can change the way politicians look at it. We can change the way our departments look at it. And we can win this fight. It just takes everybody getting on board.
Absolutely. And, you know, Tempo, before the break, we were talking about feeling safe and how that is one of the key components. With the few minutes we have left, I'm a first responder. I am recognizing that I am not okay and I need to do something about this. I call the number or I visit the website. What happens from there?
So you can request an appointment directly on our website, and we will, depending on which day of the week it is, like if it's Monday through Friday, we will call you back within 24 hours. You will get a contact back within 24 hours. If you don't want a phone call and you'd prefer an email, that's great too. You can even text the number that we have. So there are multiple ways to reach us, and our aim is to get back to you within 24 hours, and then we will get something set up for you within a matter of days, depending on the schedule. So.
And are you doing telehealth as well?
Yes, we do telehealth or in person. You know, it's as easy as clicking the button on the website, sending in the information form. Someone will reach out, find out what's going on, what your needs are, and we'll meet you where you are and get you what you need.
That's awesome, because I like it. That's what John says. You know, we'll meet you where you are, and it's so important because you have practitioners out there that don't understand, and they talk over your head, it seems, and you're like, okay, there's no connection. Now what? I got to go to the next one. I got to go to the next one. And then by the third try, you're like, oh, forget the whole thing. You know, it wasn't meant to happen again. Those stories that,
yes,
you know, we make up in our heads. It's like, stay in the fight. But you got an amazing resource right here. And if one thing good that came out of COVID is this telehealth. So you are never without the ability to get help. You just got to be brave and take the first step.
And we do offer evening and weekend appointments as well. So we try to make it as accessible as possible. Lots of our people have odd work hours, you know. So we've created a schedule and a design of our programming that's very accessible.
That's fantastic.
And that means a lot to the first responders, because a lot of them go, I can't take off work. I'm working a 12-hour shift. I have to do overtime. So weekends are probably sometimes the easiest, depending.
Yeah.
So it's great that the Brave Fight is versatile and adaptable to our first responders and our veterans.
We're trying to remove all excuses.
There you go.
I like that.
Yes, I like that. Are you guys listening and watching, catching a theme here? It's like they want to be invested in your wellness. These folks that are part of the staff of the Brave Fight, they've been through stuff themselves, or they wouldn't be doing this and giving back to us, to you all.
Yeah.
So please check it out. If you're listening, it's thebravefight.com. If you're watching, it's right there on the screen. You matter.
That's
and
right.
You're not alone. And Tempa and her staff, they get you, they understand. So no excuses, no barriers. Tell the voice in your head to shut the heck up.
That's right.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
as easy as going on the website, filling out that form, and one of the staff members will get back with you within 24 hours. So again, the barriers are gone. We're going to continue to smash the stigma, to make this movement so important that every chief has to sit up and take notice, because if he or she wants a successful department, it's only as successful as the men and women that work for that chief, and that they're allowed to be, and their mental health absolutely matters. So Tempa, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, sharing your struggles of what you went through yourself and with your husband, and what that looked like, because in the end, we're all learning from it. We're putting that in the past. We're learning from the bad experiences, so that everybody, all the first responders, can have more positive experiences going forward. And it takes a community to do that. And thank you for being in the fight with us to do that.
It's an honor to be in the fight with y'all. And thank you for everything that you do. I'm grateful to have community with you all and many of our other partners that we have across DFW.
Absolutely. And you'll find the Brave Fight on our website. Scroll down, click it, boom, you're on their homepage.
Awesome.
So
thank you
we'll
so
be
much.
talking soon. You bet, Tempa. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Tempa.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Bye-bye.
Love that Wonder Woman. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, I love her. She breaks it down into, I'll call it manageable bites, because it's never about like throwing so much out there. It's a community that she has put together with her vast number of years of experience, because she's been through it.
Yeah, and you said a great term before. She makes it understandable. You can go to a therapist office that has never been a first responder, not a first responder family. They're going to throw these big words at you. You don't know. You get frustrated. You leave. Here, they're talking on your level. They're communicating with you on your level. Things that you understand, things that you feel. And it's almost like walk the bridge, man. You're walking with them side by side. They know your pain. They're just taking you through their journey to help you get through yours.
Absolutely. And like I said, all of our partners and our resources have been vetted. They walk the walk because they've been through something. And so they get you. So a badgeofhonor.com, just scroll down on the homepage, click on the logo, boom, takes you to the homepage. And, John, the 22nd, well, it's not going to be necessarily the 22nd of every month.
In January, we're going to the third Sunday of every month here in Fort Worth and in Chicago. And I think you guys are going to be doing the same thing in Rowlett.
Yep, we're going to be talking about that, because it's important to remember the struggles in the fight that you just heard Tempa tell with her husband and the folks that she works with. It's important to remember the struggles in the fight of the family members who have lost their loved ones to suicide or in the line of duty. So come out every month, check out walkthebridge.org. You can see where we are around the country, around the world. and where we are near you. And, this month we are on the road again. Just got back from Chicago, home with our families for Turkey Day. Now we're back down in deep East Texas. Come the end of this week to serve all the first responders down there. Huge shout out to the Deep East Texas Council of Governments for sponsoring the entire workshop. If you want to go to this workshop, visit our website, okay? Click on the events tab and you will find the person and her phone number of who you need to contact. It's no cost to you. Everything is included. We got you covered. So if you are in Deep East Texas, of any of the numerous agencies down there, reach out to DETCOG directly. Again, at no cost. Your butts are in the seats this Friday, and we've got everything covered for you. Again, we want to dedicate tonight's show to the memory of Chris Carker, Garland police officer who lost his battle with his demons early Saturday morning. And our hearts go out to his family, to all of the Garland police officers, to the entire department, to the spouses. It takes an entire community to heal. Thank you for letting a badge of honor be a part of that and helping you all through this. And to all of our first responders out there, thank you for keeping us safe here on the home front. To our veteran community and those that serve on the front lines, thank you for what you do. Thank you for continuing to fly the flag of freedom, which allows us to do what we do each week. And speaking of that, John, we have to use social media. We have to. It is necessary. It's how we reach our audiences, but not all of the platforms want to play nice. Okay. So we have put in a plan, if you will, for that. So we have a TV station on Rumble, rumble.com. Okay. We are a Rumble TV. Our TV station is called A Badge of Honor. Okay. So if you don't have a Rumble account, go create one, support that platform, because they're not playing in the crap mess that other platforms are playing in. And if you tried to search us lately, you probably haven't found us. I'm not going to go into much more so we don't get completely.
Well, you know what? With all the information.
We've got the contingency. And if you want to listen, we're available across all platforms, all podcast platforms we're streaming. So we got the TV channel on Rumble. Go over there. Check us out. You can watch all the past episodes. We're uploading. Thank you, OBBM Network, for doing that for us. God bless you, all the hard work. I mean, they're working around the clock. And with that, John, take us home.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us home. Well, you said we dedicated the show, and to everybody out there, I want to thank you personally. And if you can be anything in this world, please be kind. Until next week.
Yep. Take care, John. Have a great night. Bye, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.